Good morning, everybody. Welcome to paper number 10 of semester 3 of MA English Part 2, titled as Fundamentals of English Language and Literature Teaching. Today, we shall be talking about the National Policy on Education 2020. Though not prescribed to us, when we have dealt with the commissions and committees related to education and English language teaching in India before independence and after independence, in continuation, the understanding of National Policy on Education 2020 is a must for all of us as the youth of the country. The National Policy on Education 2020 has been put forwarded by the Union Human Resource Development Minister, Mr. Ramesh Pokhriyal. Um, and he has released the new education policy, which is called as NEP, for school education, with policies for schools and higher education for colleges, universities, and other higher institutions. The very first major change that he has proposed is the Ministry of Human Resource Development, HRD, as it is normally called as, will be renamed hereafter as Ministry of Education, MOE. The Policy of Education 2020 has been headed by Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, ex-ISRO head, and he is the chairman of NPE 2020. The policy is founded on the guiding goals of 5 important principles like access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. The NEP 2020 is released in July 2020 as is accepted and is passed in the Parliament. It has got 4 parts. The first part talks about the school education. The second part talks about the higher education. The third part talks about the other key areas of focus related to education. And the fourth part is the implementation part. If you look at the history of education policies in India, the National Policy on Education is a policy formulated by the Government of India to promote education amongst Indian peoples. The policy covers elementary education to colleges in both rural as well as urban India. The first NPE was promulgated in 1968 by the government of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, and the second National Policy of Education was promulgated by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in 1986. In the previous policies, the implementation on education has focused largely on issues of access and equity. The unfinished agenda of the National Policy on Education 1986, modified in 1992, is appropriately dealt with in the present policy. A major development since the last policy of 1986 or 92 has been the right of children to Free and Compulsory Education Act of 2009 by the Manmohan Singh government, which laid down legal underpinnings for achieving universal elementary education in the country. The purpose of the education system is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination, with sound ethical moorings and values are the principles on which the National Policy of Education 2020 is based on. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisaged by our Constitution. The vision of this policy 2020 is the national education policy envisions an education system rooted in an Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. The policy envisages that the curriculum and pedagogy of our institutions must develop among the students a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and a conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibilities in a changing world. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. The part 1 of the National Policy of Education deals with the school education. The earlier 10 plus 2 structure in school education now will be modified with a new pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, covering the ages between 3 and 18. Currently, children in the age group of 3 to 6 are not covered in the 10 plus 2 structure because the class 1 begins at the age of 6. In the new policy, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, a strong base of early childhood care and education, ECCE, which means early childhood care and education from the age 3 is also included, which is aimed at promoting better overall learning, development, and well-being. It has got this structure of foundational stage, which is in two parts, that is 3 years of Anganwadi or preschool plus 2 years in primary school in the grades first and second, both together covering the ages 3 years to 8 years. The second is the preparatory stage, which covers the grades between 3rd to 5th. As a result, covering the age group between 8 and 11 years. The third is the middle stage, covering the grades of 6th, 7th, and 8th standards, with the age group of 11 years to 14 years. And number 4, the secondary stage, covering the grades 9th, 10th, 11th, in 12th in two phases, 9th and 10th in the first and 11th and 12th in the second, covering the age groups of 14 to 18 years. The previous academic structure was like this. It used to cover from the ages 6 to 16 till 10th and 16 to 18 as 12th. And now it has got the preschool also included, the 3 years of Anganwadi or preschool or Bal Vikas between the ages of 3rd to 6th, along with 2 years of primary section of 1st and 2nd years. Then you have 3rd standard to 5th standard, and then 6th standard to 8th standard, and then the fourth slab has got 9th standard to 12th standard. So it has got foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary stages, as against only 2 stages of the previous model. The early childhood care and education is the foundation of learning, which aims at introducing foundational literacy and numbers, curtailing drop rates and ensuring the universal access to education to all levels is the main motto of National Policy of Education 2020. The curriculum and pedagogy in schools also has been transformed into holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. For the holistic development of learners, the reduction of curriculum content has been observed and a chance is given for essential learning and critical thinking. Experiential learning and flexibility in course choices are for empowering the students. Multilingualism is promoted for enabling the power of language among the students, and curricular integration of essential subjects is with skills and capabilities. Accordingly, there is a formulation of a new and comprehensive National Curricular Framework for School Education, NCFSE. By 2020-21, it will be undertaken by the NCERT. The national textbooks will be written with local content and flavor and a transforming assessment for student development. It also aims at providing support for the gifted students with special talents and Divyang students. The policy also has made the rules for recruiting the teachers very clear. The recruitment and deployment of teachers, the service environment and culture that is to be provided, the continuous professional development, CPD for the teachers, career management and progression for the teachers, and the approach of teachers towards teacher education are some of the basic guidelines that the policy provides. For providing the equitable and inclusive education and the promoting learning for all, gender equality, minorities preferences, and children with special needs or Divyang students are all provided with scholarships and due place in the school career. For efficient resourcing and effective governance through school complexes and clusters, the policy aims at promoting the accompaniment of schools in the form of school complexes and clusters. The establishment of primary schools in every habitation across the country, driven by the Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, now subsumed under Samagra Siksha Abhiyan, SSS, Samagra Siksha Abhiyan. One secondary school will be established covering almost all the Anganwadis in the radius of 5 to 10 kilometers. And the district education officer, DEO, and the block education officer, BEO, will be governing the Anganwadis and the secondary school for the efficient functioning. The standard setting and accreditation for school education will be by establishing a body like State School Standards Authority, SSSA. State School Standards Authority, which will be a common authority for assessing the standards of both public as well as private schools. The part 2 is concerned with higher education. This is the part where we are concerned with. Quality universities and colleges would be maintained. A new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education system with good, thoughtful, well-rounded and creative individuals who will have a well-developed character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity and the spirit of service. The earlier higher education system had got all these problems. We know what the problems are. Some of the problems being less emphasis is given on skills and learning outcomes, and severely fragmented higher education system. Limited access has been observed for the socio-economically disadvantaged areas, limited teachers and institutional autonomy, suboptimal governance and leaderships, ineffective regulatory system, and large affiliating universities resulting in low standards. In order to overcome these problems, the policy visions include the following changes. First of all, every undergraduate education will be multidisciplinary, and the faculty and the institutional autonomy will be the first preference. With enhanced student experience and integrity of faculty is the most important events of the policy. The National Research Foundation would be founded for improving the quality of research across higher education institutions. Light but tight regulation by a single regulatory for all the higher education institutions across the country. Academic and administrative autonomy for the institutions for having a better programs devised and implementation is the need of the hour, along with online education and open distance education learning. Accordingly, the institutional restructuring and consolidation is a must, and so the policy aims at transforming higher education institutions into large multidisciplinary universities, colleges, and higher education clusters or knowledge hubs, each which will have an aim of 3,000 or more students. Large multidisciplinary universities and higher education institution clusters is the need of the time, recognized by the policy. Accordingly, we'll have number one, a university, which will mean a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers undergraduate and graduate programs. An autonomous degree granting college, AC, as it is called, will refer to large multidisciplinary institutions of higher learning that grants undergraduate degrees and is primarily focused on undergraduate teaching, though it would also not be restricted and will go for research and can transform itself into a university over a few years. The third is model public universities. This is very interesting. Model public universities for holistic and multidisciplinary education at par with the IITs and IIMs across the country. They are called as MERUs. It's an acronym meaning multidisciplinary education and research universities will be established to maintain quality in education and research. The plan of this policy is by 2040, all higher education institutions shall aim to become multidisciplinary and autonomous. At least by 2030, every institution should become multidisciplinary, and in the next decade, they would aim for having academic and administrative autonomy. And also, the institutions will have an option to run ODL, open distance learning, and online programs. With the institutional autonomy, both academic as well as administrative, granted to the college or the institution is free to run all these courses at its own choice, according to the requirement of the region and the students. The undergraduate education that integrate the humanities and arts with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics is called STEM. So it is not humanities separately and science subjects separately, but it is a sort of integration. And choice-based credit system is been followed in toto, so that the student taking admission into BA with political science also has an option to take mathematics and chemistry along with maybe commerce. Skill-based education and value-based education are given preference, and a holistic and multidisciplinary education to develop the capacities of human beings such as intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner is what is expected from this policy. The structure and length of the degree program also is very interesting. The undergraduate degree will be either of 3 years or 4 years duration, and a complete choice is given to the students to drop out at any stage but take a degree and leave. A certificate after completing 1 year will be granted to the student. After 2 years, if the student wishes to stop, a diploma will be granted. After 3 years, a bachelor's degree will be awarded. And after 4 years, a multidisciplinary bachelor's degree will be awarded to him. So, 4-year degree program where the student has got a choice to get separated from the education stream at any level, and every level offers him with some certificate, diploma, or degree. There may be a 2-year program of post-graduation with a second year devoted completely to research, and no papers will be prescribed to them. If the student completes 4 years bachelor's program, the MA program will be only for 1 year of research. And if the students completes 3 years of degree program, the PG program will be for 2 years, where 1 year will be the last year will be completely devoted to research. There also could be an offer of integrated 5-year bachelor's and master's program together. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master's degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree with research. The MPhil program is completely discarded and discontinued. If we look at the research point of view, the policy is highly ambitious in enabling the higher education institutions to promote research and innovation by setting up startup incubation centers, technology development centers, centers in frontier areas of research, greater industry academic linkages, and develop interdisciplinary research across humanities and social sciences research. The optimal learning environments and support to the students is the most important aim of the policy, where essentiality is given to creativity and integration. Socio-economically disadvantaged students are supported with scholarships, and ODL and online education system are supported so that global standards of quality can be maintained through the education system. The other points that NPE emphasized are motivated, energized, and capable faculty is a must, equality and inclusion in higher education, the teacher education programs, reimagining and vocational education, catalyzing quality academic research in all fields through a new National Research Foundation to be established. Transforming the regulatory system of higher education, the entire system will be named as Higher Education Commission of India, HECI. So everything will be integrated as Higher Education Commission of India. And 4 vertical systems individually would be working parallelly to maintain quality and assessment part for the higher education. The National Higher Education Regulatory Council, NHERC, will be a regulating body to all the education institutions of higher education across the country. The National Accreditation Council, NAC, will be an accreditation body across the country. Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC, will be a granting council which would grant the grants for the higher education institutions for research and development. General Education Council, GEC, is a council that is established working parallelly under Higher Education Commission of India for maintaining quality by revising the textbooks and syllabi and so on. A national higher education qualification framework will be formulated by the GEC, General Education Council, and it shall be in sync with the National Skills Qualification Framework to ease the integration of vocational education into higher education. For curbing the commercialization of education, multiple mechanisms with checks and balances have been proposed by the policy. This will be a key priority for the regulatory system. All education systems and institutions across the country should be working for a non-profitable basis for the charity and the progress of the country. Effective governance and leadership for higher education institution is a must in order to transform the existing higher education system into world-class institutions globally, including India. Graded accreditation and graded economy are the two interesting proposals that are proposed by the policy. Within a period of 15 years, all higher education institutions in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institutions pursuing innovations and excellence. The part 3 of the policy is other key areas to focus. The focus is on professional education, adult education and lifelong learning, promotion of Indian languages, art and culture, technology use and integration, online and digital education, ensuring equitable use of technology. The part 4 is making it happen, the implementation part of it. The strengthening of the Central Advisory Board of Education, CABE, and the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, be redesigned as Ministry of Education, MOE. And the financing will be affordable and quality education for all across the country. MHRD, CABE, union and state governments, education-related ministries, state departments of education, boards, NTA, the regulatory bodies of school and higher education, NCERT, SCERT, schools and higher education institutions, all should be working in sync with each other with the timelines and the plan for review. By 2030-40, in this decade, it is expected that the entire policy of education will be implemented in toto and the results will be seen. The highlights thus of the new education policy 2020 are: number 1, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system, schooling from 3 years, promoting libraries, teaching up to 5th class in the mother tongue or the regional language only, creating Bal Bhavans and academic bank of credit. Multiple entry and exit points in higher education, easing of board exams, changes in report card, foreign universities in India, NEP ends science, commerce, arts stream in a watertight compartment, National Educational Technology Forum, common entrance exam for all college admission to be conducted at the central level. Universalization of education from preschool to secondary level is 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030. To bring 2 crore out of school children back into mainstream through an open schooling system, and the 10 plus 2 being replaced by 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. As discussed, 3 to 8 years is foundational course, 8 to 11 years is preparatory, 11 to 14 is middle, and 14 to 18 is secondary, respectively. It will bring the uncovered age groups of 3 to 6 under school curriculum, which has been recognized globally as a crucial stage for the development of the mental faculties of the child. It will have 12 years of schooling with 3 years of Anganwadi and preschool. Class 10th and 12th board examinations could be made more easier to test the core competencies and not the memorized facts, thereby reducing the pressure on the student and reducing the coaching centers across the country as well. School governance is set to change with a new accreditation framework and a new authority to regulate both public as well as private schools. Emphasis on foundational literacy and numeracy, no rigid separation between academic streams, extracurricular and vocational separation in schools. Vocational education to start from class 6 with internship. Teaching up to grade 5 in mother tongue or regional language, no language will be imposed to any student. Formation of school complex for sharing books, sports, and other infrastructural facilities. Assessment reforms with 360 degrees holistic progress card. Tracking student progress for achieving learning outcomes. A new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education 2021 will be formulated by NCTE, National Council for Teacher Education, in consultation with the NCERT, National Council for Education, Research and Training. By 2030, the minimum degree qualifications for teaching will be 4-year integrated B.Ed degree. After 12th standard, a 4-year B.Ed degree. After graduation, 2-year B.Ed degree. After PG, a 1-year B.Ed degree is a must. The gross enrollment ratio GER will be raised from 26.5% of the country as it stands today to 50% by 2035. 3.5 crore seats to be added in higher education. Holistic undergraduate education with flexible curriculum can be of 3 to 4 years, as we discussed, with 1 year certificate, 2 years diploma, 3 years bachelor's degree, and 4 years bachelor's with a research degree. Post graduation will be for 1 year after 4-year degree and 2 years after 3-year degree, with final year exclusively for research. All higher education institutions will be restructured into 3 categories. Research universities focusing equally on research and training, number 1. Number 2, teaching universities focusing primarily on teaching. And number 3, degree granting colleges primarily focused on undergraduate teaching. MPhil courses will be discontinued and all the courses at undergraduate, postgraduate and PhD will be interdisciplinary. Academic bank of credits to be created to facilitate the transfer of credits for the students. Multidisciplinary education and research universities, MERUs, at par with IITs and IIMs to be set up as model of best multidisciplinary education of global standards in the country. The National Research Foundation will be created as an apex body for fostering a strong research culture and building research capacities across higher education. The NEP emphasizes on the digital education like developing audio and video interfaces for holding online classes, training teachers on how to become high quality online content creators. Where the infrastructure is lacking, the policy recommends the use of other channels such as TV, radio, mass media in multiple languages. Higher Education Commission of India, HECI, will be set up as a single umbrella body for the entire higher education, excluding medical and legal education. Public and private institutions will be governed by the same set of norms for regulation, accreditation, and academic standards. Higher Education Centers of India will be having 4 independent verticals, as we discussed: National Higher Education Regulatory Council for regulation, General Education Council for standard setting and framing curriculum framework, Higher Education Grants Council for funding, and National Accreditation Council for accreditation across the country for all institutions, both public and private. Affiliation of colleges is to be phased out in 15 years and a stage-wise mechanism to be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. Over a period of time, every college is expected to develop into either an autonomous degree granting college or a constituent college of a university. An autonomous body, National Educational Technology Forum, NETF, will be created to provide a platform for the free exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning, assessment, planning and administration. National Assessment Center, PARAK, has been created to assess the students. It also paves way to set up foreign universities to set up campuses in India. It emphasizes setting up gender inclusion fund and special educational zones for disadvantaged regions and groups. The new policy promotes multilingualism in both schools and higher education. National Institute for Pali, Persian, Prakrit, and Indian Institute of Translation and Interpretation to be set up. It also aims to increase the public investment in the education sector to reach 6% of the GDP sector at the earliest. Currently, India spends around 4.6% of its total GDP on education. Both NPE 1968 and NPE 1986 also recommended 6% to be spent on education, and the NPE 2020, the NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020, aims at achieving this goal. So, dear students, this is in short about the National Educational Policy 2020 proposed by the existing government, that is passed in the Parliament on July 28, 2020 and would be implemented from this academic year onwards. This is for your general information and understanding of the education system which you are into and you would be into after becoming, hopefully, the teachers of the country. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have any doubts, you can post it either in the Google Classroom or in the WhatsApp group. Thanks for joining with me in this video. Stay tuned for the next videos. Bye for now.